The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on the break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
Hello guys, I am back on this amazing show. Sorry for those of you who are listening and that hate me for whatever reason, but I'm back.
What a passive-aggressive intro into the show.
just in case.
Good.
But in Cowboys world, in Garrett's world, today is a Friday. So I wanted to talk about several guys that showed up on the practice report. We don't need to do inactives or any of that today. We'll do that tomorrow. But as far as some of the O-line guy, we know Tyron Smith still hasn't done anything as of right now. And from what I heard Jerry Jones say, it would end up being kind of a game day decision again, similar to what happened last weekend or last Thursday. But then as far as Zach Martin and Suafilo, again, guys that are key to the offensive line, they've been on a limited basis. Were they doing some things today as well? Limited?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the routine that we always talk about, which is, you know, if you're doing something by Thursday heading into Friday, it's probably a pretty good sign that you're going to play, especially the more veteran you are. Zach and Xavier have been in uniform the last 2 days. I feel really good about them practicing. Have not seen Tyron Smith since Sunday. Was not there today. Was not there yesterday. Jerry Jones said, you know, we'll see how he feels on game day, which, you know, for Jerry Jones to say that much is not a good sign. I really kind of trend toward thinking that Cam Fleming's going to have to play left tackle in this game.
And then again, the O-line has finally started clicking with the changes in the coaching and, you know, adding Suafilo on there. It's been flowing pretty good and doing their job. Now, when you look at this report, although it's nothing crazy, but when you see certain guys being limited and stuff like that, how alarming does this start becoming to an area that is just now finally starting to click?
Well, they have to be perfect on offense to win this game. They can't have any. You can't get down in the red zone and then take a sack or a penalty and then kick a field goal. Field goals aren't going to win this game. So, you know, you have to be perfect, I think, to win. And you have to get at least 30 points to win the game. And so, therefore, in my opinion, all the injury situations, even if it's one or two plays, they could be the ones that affect them from stalling a drive. And so, you know, it's in any other situation, you think, I think they could manage it. And if you're going to play Washington, I think they could manage it. But against New Orleans, they just can't. They have no room for error.
Yeah, and Tavon Austin is still a question mark. And it came to mind, and I laughed because at the game, you know, he got on top of the bench and it's like moving around and dancing around, and it reminded me of what Nick has been saying from practice.
I tried to take a video today and I almost had my phone taken from me, so that didn't work. Yeah.
Did you get tackled?
No.
They take that stuff pretty seriously.
Yeah. So I tried to take, but it would have been a great video.
He is a dancing fool.
It was. He looks ready to go. I don't think he plays this week. I think he plays against I was about to say the Giants, because it seems like every time you come back,
that's a long way.
Well, no, it seems like every time they come back from the Thanksgiving break, it's always at the Giants, but that's not true this year. It's Philly. I think he plays for Philly.
Okay. You get along. I mean, it's basically a half bye week, so that would make sense.
Get him for December. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him now with Amari Cooper and what they got going on offense. I think he'll be a great addition if they can use him right.
How do you think they would utilize him?
Well, the same way that I've been wanting them to use him all season, which is he's your gadget player. And now he can be your legitimate gadget player because you've got a wide receiver threat. Like, you got a legitimate threat out there that can take it to the house on any given play. You've got a running back that can take it to the house on any given play. Now you have a gadget player that can also take it to the house on any given play. Use him as a gadget player. Use him underneath. Use him on end arounds. Like, use him on stuff that just throws the defense off and makes them think about one more thing that they didn't have to think about before, which just creates more opportunity to get one-on-one situations with Zeke in space and with Amari Cooper in space. I just love everything about that if they use him the right way.
I want that desperately. I have next to no faith that it will happen.
Well, I will say this, and maybe it's just a function of them winning, but it does seem and feel to me like offensively, they've done some things a little bit different since they've added Amari Cooper into the mix. So I'm interested to see how that looks with Amari Cooper in the mix, how that looks now when you add him back in, because I do think they're changing up some things offensively and just strategically the kinds of things they're doing.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Okay, we'll see. Hopefully it works out and he's able to bring up some action that we haven't seen before.
I would think Connor Williams will be your swing tackle now. I mean, he left tackle, right tackle.
That's a good point. You don't. I mean, if Tyron might be active in this game the same way he was active last week, which it could. But that was a break glass in case of emergency situation. So
because was Redmond out?
Yeah, Redmond had a concussion,
so he was out.
He'll be available
back
for this
and,
though.
So because he will be back and being your guard center backup, I think Connor Williams has to be your tackle backup unless you. Is there anybody on the practice squad? Maybe.
Crap, I left my roster upstairs. There's definitely Campos. Is he still here?
Connor Williams.
And I think you probably stay with what you got. I do think by hook or by crook, I think an offensive lineman is probably inactive this week, though.
What I don't like, I don't like the idea.
It's kind of weird to me. I don't know that statement.
I don't like the idea of Tyron being active and not starting and being your backup because of how good a player he is. If he's not starting, that means he's really bad off. I don't like putting him in a pinch situation when he's really bad off. Right?
I mean, if he can't play,
either he's playing or he's not. In my opinion,
if he can't play, I would.
That's what
make
they said
him
about
inactive.
DeMarcus Ware back in 2009. Either he's playing or he's not. And he was the defensive player of the week.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of
a
bringing
little
back
bit
memories.
different though.
Little
little different because with him, you can at least
I don't
rotate him
know.
in, do a play here, play there. When he's your
both were on
tackle, he's going to be out there. And
They both were laying down on the ground, not moving.
It's an interesting parallel.
different.
It's an interesting parallel just in the sense that they are both in a class of player that they don't need a practice rep to go out there and
agree
play a
with
good
that.
game. Which is why, if it was anybody else, there's probably 5 players on this team who fit into that category. Where if it was anybody else, I'd be like, he's down. But you can't rule him out until the inactives come out 90 minutes prior to kickoff.
Right. I'm agreeing with all that. What I'm saying is if they make the determination as they did last week that he's so bad off that he cannot start and play, then don't put him in there at all.
Don't want
because
him to be
he's
the swing
such a
tackle.
warrior.
I agree.
If he can't play at all, then putting him out there if you get in a pinch ain't going to be good because he can't play. Literally, he cannot play.
I agree with you, and I kind of think that they know that too.
Yeah.
They needed a left tackle for one play last week when Fleming lost his shoe,
And they didn't put him in.
They used Connor.
That's exactly right.
Like, well, break glass in case of emergency. Like, clearly not. It clearly means he's not ready or
It's like
wasn't ready to go.
Break
so.
glass in case of emergency, and they got the little hatchet they usually have in there, but it doesn't have a thing on the top of it.
Right.
It's just the wooden stick. Like, it's not going to do any good, bro.
So we'll see. That's it's definitely a situation where we'll get to the game early and have our binoculars on what Tyron's doing before the game and all that good type of stuff.
That's really interesting. Now, obviously, we've seen the struggles that Connor has had at the guard position. Just, room for improvement and growth that needs to happen. If that was to happen where you now move him at Tyron's position as a tackle, which is a position where we've seen in the past how much it affected Dak Prescott and what they were doing when it's not well played.
Chaz.
Right. Everyone remembers Chaz.
Right.
So
Who's going to be here this week?
if Connor was to be moved there, how much do you think he would struggle there? And how much,
Yeah. Well, remember, he'd be moved as a backup. I mean, obviously.
Well, yeah. But if needed,
Fleming. Yeah.
and he had to come in.
I mean, the problem is this team doesn't have a lot of tight end help that can help chip, and you'd have to leave some running backs in. It would change how you do it. You have to give help, and it would change how you want to play your offense. Who do they have on that right side over there? Who? Jordan? Cam
Jordan, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
So, yeah, I think it would be The thing about Connor Williams is that he's a fighter. I mean, he will go in there and scrap, and I think he would be okay. I don't think he would be that great, but I think he would be better than Chaz.
Better bandage.
He's got more fight in him than Chaz. I mean, he just does. I mean, we saw that since the day he got here, and I think wherever they end up putting him, he will be a good player.
This week, do you expect that they'll probably practice him at tackle?
Yeah,
That'd be my expectation, right?
Yep.
If they don't think Tyron can go, yeah.
Especially if
Even if they did think Tyron could go, my point is there's a better chance that he's going to have to get in the game this week at tackle than it is at guard, right?
Yeah. I'd like to see him get some reps there. I bet he's doing that.
Especially if you got Redmond back. You just let Redmond be your swing center guard and look at him as a swing tackle, at least for this week, until you get to a point where you feel more comfortable with where Tyron is from a health standpoint. I think that's probably a better option, right?
Right.
It is a good point from you, AG, that which, I mean, Fleming played last week and they were all right, but, the line was kind of rounding into a better form, and now you're obviously taking all these contingency plans. It's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take an early break because I don't want to interrupt Dave's awesome report that he has about the Saints offense. Hopefully he has some hope for the
I can do this one.
I hope he's able to give a little bit of hope
like it's
for the
pretty easy.
Cowboys. So let's take the early break and then we'll get into the offense.
If you're like me and you love, if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just
get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
While a player could look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. This is the second segment of the break. The Saints, they're an okay team. They're coming to town tomorrow to play against the Cowboys on Thursday.
Yeah.
They're all right.
They're pretty good. They're pretty, Nick's right. He could do this. Like, I don't need to do the thing where I talk for like 8 minutes. This is... Well, statistically, they're not the best offense in the league, but they might as well be.
I like something interesting that I bet fans don't know, and what Brian said when he was watching them was like, this is the best offensive line he's seen all year.
They are impressive, and that shouldn't be surprising. I think Jason Garrett basically said this, everybody knows Drew Brees. Everybody knows what he can do. But much like Tony Romo, this team wasn't very good when he was just carrying everything on his back. I mean, he was throwing for 6,000 yards a year, and they were winning 7 or 8 games, like 3 years in a row. Like, people were talking about firing Sean Payton and blah, blah, blah. So what do? They draft Teron Armstead in the 3rd round. He develops into a great player. They spend a first-round pick on Andrus Peat, who's now their guard. They traded Jimmy Graham for Max Unger, who's been, rock steady center for years. Larry Warford they get from Detroit. He's a premium draft pick. And Ryan Ramczyk is a first-round pick at right tackle. So, it's not quite the level of resources that the Cowboys have sunk into their line.
Not much different.
Not that much different at all. And Teron Armstead is probably not going to play this game, which likely means Jermon Bushrod, long time veteran. He was playing tackle when Ware had that game.
That was him, yeah.
Yeah, right.
He's still playing.
He's been around for a minute.
But so this offensive line is fantastic. They are leading the league in sacks allowed, 11. By the way, the Cowboys are dead last with 38. Hey, the offensive line's playing better, but
even in a game like last week where you thought they played pretty well, they gave up 4 sacks.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
11 sacks. And that's the thing that's any time you play a quarterback like this, like the offensive line is obviously great. He gets the ball out so fast. Like he knows where he wants to go, and he reads his progression so quickly. But they're dominant in the running game. Obviously, having great running backs helps, but they bulldoze guys. They're 5th overall. They're 6th in passing yardage, which Drew Brees is only 7th. There's 6 quarterbacks above him. Like this team is not
in yards.
In yards, that's what I mean. But
I know. I'm just.
Oh, I think he's going to win the MVP.
Yeah, I do too. I think he's playing ahead of everybody else this year.
But they don't lean on the pass the way that they did. They're 6th in running offense. They're 1st in scoring offense, 37.2 points per game. They've scored at least 30 points in 9 of their 11 games. They have hit 40 points and 50 points 4 or 5 times. They're 73% in the red zone, which is 3rd best in the league. They have scored a touchdown on 7 of their 11 opening possessions this season. I'm just rattling off stuff that I thought was impressive. Brees,
Can you tell me something bad, like something they're bad at?
Something that they're bad at.
Yeah, they're not good at.
Whatever.
They're not good at getting to 60. They can't do it.
And
They've
for
not
some
done it.
reason, 60 is just that boundary that they can't get
It's just
there.
elusive. They're just like the MVP for Breeze. It's not happening.
They don't have a rock steady option at receiver if you can take Michael Thomas away.
I was about to say, okay. If you can take Michael Thomas away. Okay.
Let me finish.
Gotcha.
That's why they went and tried to get Des Bryant. They have Traquan Smith, who's a rookie. Ted Ginn has been hurt all year. And then Austin Carr, and they have all these undrafted guys, but they don't have, and they brought in Brandon Marshall. That's worth remembering, but he hasn't really had a chance to do much.
But that statement, though, but think about that
taken
statement.
away Michael
Right.
Thomas?
Yes, actually.
Who?
The Falcons did it on Thursday night. He had 38 yards. But
what happened with the other guys, though?
Why? She asked me to say something good. What do you want me to do?
I don't know.
Hey, we're exploring different options here of what the Cowboys could possibly do.
Michael Thomas was held to 38 yards. He's only had 2 games this season where he was held to less than 69 yards. And he has never had back-to-back, quote-unquote, bad games. On top of that, Alvin Kamara is not technically a receiver, but he's got more receptions and more receiving yards than any wide receiver on this team.
Mm-hmm. Amari hasn't been here all year either.
Factor that in with his Oakland games too. He's only got 44 catches.
But he wasn't catching balls.
Okay, Alvin Kamara's got 57 catches.
Put that against what Amari's projection would be if he would have been doing this all season.
Whatever makes you feel better.
I think Kamara was going to get like 100 catches, right?
He's
wait, what's
not,
he at? 57?
He's not quite on that pace, but he's on 57 catches with 5 to play.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to come close. He had 80 last year.
Right.
I mean, he's due
100
everything
would be
back.
huge. Like,
wow.
Do you ever remember a running back getting 100 catches in a season?
Larry Centers.
That also had a lot of rushing yards?
Oh, no. I think LaDainian maybe had 100 catches. Maybe.
Wow, that seems a lot.
Reggie Bush came close a couple times when he was with the Saints too.
But he primarily was a receiver. Like the way they use him.
Kamara does way more damage. Well, actually, that is maybe the biggest misconception. Like again, okay, I grew up a Saints fan. I have not had a ton of time to watch the Saints over the last years. Like I think of Kamara as Reggie Bush. Like he's this scat back. He's not.
No, he's not.
He
really, runs between the tackles quite a bit.
And does it well.
Yes, very well.
He is so much better than I gave him credit for going into watching this team.
Yeah.
He is a one cut and go guy. Like it seems like, and again, to the credit of that offensive line, he is to the second level in a blink of an eye.
But you loved him coming out of college.
I did,
right?
But it's still fascinating. I mean, he had that scat back. What's the word I'm looking for? Reputation. Yeah. He had, he came out of Tennessee with like 600 career rushing yards and more receiving yards, but he is better than he gets credit for between the tackles. They obviously have Ingram too. The big thing that's honestly, it pisses me off watching the Saints because it's what I want to see the Cowboys do. And obviously the Saints they just have better weapons. Like Michael Thomas he's just as good as Amari Cooper, in my opinion. Obviously, the running backs are freaky. And I know Zeke is great too, but they use misdirection I'm so envious of the way they do it, because just like what I wanted to see from Tavon Austin going into this season, they motion somebody on every play. They'll have Ingram and Kamara in the game together, and they'll motion Kamara in from the slot and fake the jet sweep and hand it to Ingram up the middle, or they'll give the jet sweep, or they'll fake a fullback dive and toss it out wide to their running back, or they'll motion a wide receiver across the formation just to make the linebackers hesitate. They do it pretty much every time they snap the ball. I watched all of one game and part of another 3, and they did it far more often than they didn't. And so you combine that with the power of their offensive line and the respect you have to give to the quarterback, defenses don't know what to do. They hesitate, and all of a sudden somebody's 6 yards downfield. So that's the thing that scares me the most. Play
to
action.
Me, that's like the key to success right there. How you're able to come up with different kinds of plays and ways to deceive your opposing defense. And to me, again, like you said, something that the Cowboys are obviously lacking. And to me personally, I think the Cowboys have enough talent on the roster in the offense to be able, even with Dak being Dak and what he's done so far, I think they would be able to do that, if they had better play calling in a way. Better,
that's a good
play.
point, especially when you're even talking about the Saints, and this may go back a little farther than some of our listeners were watching football, but Drew Brees, when he was with the San Diego Chargers, he wasn't a great quarterback. He was a good quarterback. He wasn't a great quarterback. When you paired him up with Sean Payton in New Orleans, that's when Drew Brees became the Drew Brees that we all know and love today, right? That's when he became that great quarterback that's up there in the top echelon of quarterbacks in NFL history. And I would make the argument that if you never would have paired him with a guy that has the offensive mind and capability of Sean Payton, he may have never realized that. I am a big believer in all these guys in the NFL have talent. What differentiates the guys that become great from the guys that are just good is not only their talent and their work ethic, but also the coach that knows how to give them the right platform for their talents to shine. And I think that makes all the difference for a guy like Drew Brees. I mean, there were, like, he wasn't a quarterback that was considered to have great arm talent when he left San Diego. I mean, he was coming off a shoulder injury, and that was one of the reasons why teams why they let him go. Miami wasn't willing to sign him.
How long was he there for?
San Diego?
5-6 years.
He was drafted in 2001 and left in 2005. So he was there for his rookie contract, basically.
So, I mean, it's just, to me, it's one of those situations where if you want to look no farther than that situation to see how much a coach and what a coach does with a player makes a difference, look at Drew Brees. I think it's a great example of it.
Belichick and Brady, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
But also Sean Payton, also Brees and Payton.
Right,
it goes hand in hand.
That's my point. Yeah, it goes for both of them.
I think he's a great coach because he's had him,
Right.
I don't think he could just go anywhere and be just as good. So I think,
but it's the pairing.
It's just a good pairing.
Right. Does Montana become great without Rice, and does Rice become great without Montana? People depend on each other.
Rice is great Rice was great with Steve Young. Rice was great with Rich Gannon. Rice was great.
Yeah, that's probably
Rice
true.
was
that's
great.
Probably true.
Was
he great with Gannon?
He made the Pro Bowl in his 40. Yeah. Pretty good. You know what? Real quick, you said 100 catches.
Yeah.
LT had 100 catches in 2003 for 700 yards, and he just had 1,600 yards rushing on offense for 20 touchdowns.
Different. He was different
and did not make the Pro Bowl.
How did he not make the Pro Bowl?
So what running backs were in the Pro Bowl that year?
I don't know. I'm not looking that up, but I'm just saying.
What year is that?
2003. Didn't make the Pro Bowl.
Well, so Priest Holmes was there.
No, he had 100 catches.
That was before Priest.
No, I'm saying Priest Holmes was in the Pro Bowl. I'm not.
2,300 yards
of offense. Was that during Priest's prime?
Yeah, that was like when Priest was doing crazy stuff for Kansas City.
Can't imagine that. I'm like, who?
I'm still thinking, like, who else would be?
Curtis Martin. I don't even know.
Curtis Martin, Jerome Bettis.
I can't imagine any of them would have had a season better than that.
Maybe it's just an error from Pro Football
And I bet he
Reference.
had 20 touchdowns, combined touchdowns.
Maybe back then they cared for
only
different
had like
things.
one on each team, apparently.
Really? Are you looking at 03 Pro Bowl?
Yeah. So it was Priest Holmes in the AFC, and the NFC was Deuce McAllister.
Let's go, Deuce! How do you only have one Pro Bowl or one running back on your Pro Bowl?
Probably had
roster?
reserves. I don't know if they.
Huh.
So maybe he made it as a reserve that year.
It just has a little asterisk if you made the Pro Bowl and he didn't make it that year.
That sounds like an all-pro kind of season. Yeah. Running back with 100 freaking catches.
Yeah. I don't see the reserves were Marshall Faulk and Michael Bennett, and the AFC. The reserves were Ricky Williams, LaDainian Tomlinson, and Travis Henry.
So he did make it as a reserve.
Yeah, as a reserve.
That's still crazy.
Yeah, that would be crazy if he didn't make it.
I feel
at all.
better now. Okay.
I don't listen to Talking Cowboys. But I bet if I...
But you should.
Why not?
Listening to all the...
Because I'm busy. I got
I'm just telling the listeners.
No, the listeners absolutely should.
You sit in between a triangle of Rob, Mickey,
I know.
and
I get enough
and
Talking
Brian.
Cowboys.
I was about to say, Talking Cowboys is all day for you.
If I did listen to Talking Cowboys, I bet I would hear stuff about how the Saints get going vertical by get going horizontal. Like they love, Kamara on the jet sweep, Kamara on the toss sweep. Ingram does it too. But the thing I think that actually works out really well for the Cowboys because they have sideline to sideline speed. Obviously, Jalen and Van Der Esch, DeMarcus Lawrence is great against the run. These cornerbacks are willing to come up and tackle. Byron and Cheeto probably didn't get enough credit for their work doing that against Washington the other day. The thing that scares me, I think Drew Brees is going to just attack the middle of the field against this team. Like, he's got two tight ends he trusts, Dan Arnold and Ben Watson. He's obviously Drew Brees, so he's not afraid to throw anywhere. Mike Thomas can play in the slot, does a lot of his work, cutbacks and out routes from the middle of the field. And I think they've played well, but Jeff Heath and Xavier Woods are not impervious to these types of things, and I'm worried that that's where they're going to try to do their damage because you have running backs and tight ends and then a receiver who can play in the slot, all of whom are comfortable doing that, and a quarterback who's not afraid to make a single throw. And I just think that could be problematic for them and something that I would watch for.
Yeah, I think the secondary, the Cowboys secondary, I think they're in position a lot. I don't think they get interceptions as much as they probably should. And I think that a quarterback like this is a quarterback that can be dangerous for them because he can throw into tight windows. He can throw to guys who aren't necessarily open, but he'll put it in a place where they can get it. And I think that's not just this secondary. That's every secondary. That makes it extremely difficult because now even when you're in good coverage, you can still get a completion.
He made a throw on Thanksgiving against the Falcons. It was actually incomplete, but it just dropped my jaw because he sent the tight end, Dan Arnold, went down the seam, and Drew was looking at Thomas all the way left, and then at the last minute, jerked his head all the way across the field. Is perfect coverage. Like, there's no room whatsoever, and he threw it anyway and put it right on the dude's helmet, and the Falcons DB made a great play and batted it away, but, like, just the audacity. And it's not audacity, though, because he knows he can do it.
Yeah.
And I just...
How dare you?
This dude's so good, he's so good.
There's, like, three quarterbacks... There's a lot of quarterbacks who can make that throw, but not very many that have the confidence to do it and the skill to reliably hit it. It's scary, and I just... It's something, I mean, between the linebackers and the safeties, I just think that we saw it happen with Vernon Davis last week. Again, a lesser quarterback took advantage of it. And I think there will be plays to be made over the middle of the field for these guys.
I was looking at something. I'm trying to figure out the best defense that the Saints have played against this season. The Ravens, the Browns.
Actually, the only two teams in the league that have held them under 30 points.
Right. Those are probably the two best defenses that they've played, and both of them played them to a very close game if you look at it. The Browns lost 21-18. The Ravens lost 24-23. So defense factors in here.
Yeah.
Cowboys can play a good game on defense. It can slow this offense down some. You have to score and match, but that is one of the positive things that maybe you can take out of this, right?
And Drew Brees doesn't throw a lot of picks, but they fumble the ball a decent amount. It seems. I mean, Ingram's had fumble problems his whole career, and with the amount of action, I guess you would say, there's Drew Brees fumbled it while he was trying to pitch it out, and so I wonder if maybe they can take advantage of that. Maybe the Saints will put the ball on the turf a couple of times.
All right, let's take our final break, and when we come back, I want to dig a little deeper into this matchup between the Saints offense and the Cowboys defense, which, as of right now, has shown to be very impressive and explosive.
While a player could look good on paper, It's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crock pot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. Thinks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to the break.
Welcome back. Tell
Tommy
me about
John.
some Tommy John.
Oh, wow.
Welcome back to All Things Considered with Amber Garcia.
Sounds like that flight
About Tommy John.
when we went to London. Remember that? And the flight attendants would talk like that. Like over
yeah.
I was like, the whole time, I was like, wow. Anyways,
They're
Tommy
trying to
John.
convince us we're not going to go down in the ocean.
Thank you, Derek.
Wow.
Awesome. Anyways, if you did, you'd have some Tommy John underwear. I don't know how that would help you.
Don't know that helps much. Do
It
they
might,
float?
though. It might. Because Tommy John does everything. It protects your end zone. It protects your front zone. It protects your whole
undercarriage
down there. Do you want to do this? Because I think you've actually got some really good verbiage going on.
Just helping where I can.
TommyJohn.com/Cowboys. You get 20% off your first order. It's a good time to make some orders for Christmas.
Yeah, it is.
You can do it for yourself. You can do it for your significant other. They have men's and women's. I don't even know if they have kids. Maybe they do. I'm working on potty training right now with my son.
That's what I'm saying. They can't mess
Maybe
up
they
good Tommy
have
Johns.
Tommy
That's the problem.
Jonathan. I don't know, some little kid
Thomas
stuff.
Jonathan?
Yep. So,
All right.
anyways, go to the website. You'll find a lot of cool stuff there, and you can get some personalized Dallas Cowboys gear too.
Merry
You can
Christmas.
be a fan down low.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
An undercover fan.
Well, yeah.
All right.
All right.
So we talked about all the greatness that the Saints have in their offense, but the Cowboys defense doesn't really stay behind. I mean, they've been doing a pretty good job. They've been very dynamic on the field. And you mentioned a few different positions. We talked about safety, but once you...
Derek looks so happy.
You talked about safety in the secondary. So
Okay.
once you look at it as an overall, in general, the whole defense as a group, because we've seen how each position has been able to help the other. Once you combine that, do you think that the Cowboys can actually stop them somehow in a way, like slow them down a little bit? You're not going to stop them, but slow them down a little bit.
That has to be the hope. And the Cowboys, they're not this juggernaut when it comes to, just completely shutting down the opposition, but they've been great in the red zone. They've been great at not allowing scores. They're only giving up 19.4, which, as Nick just reminded us, that's half of what the Saints are scoring. So something's got to give. I mean,
one of those is a lie this week.
Even against the Redskins, the Cowboys, they gave up 2 long scoring drives. The others, one started on their 25 because of a return. The other started at like midfield. So they've been fantastic at turning scoring opportunities into field goals or takeaways, and they're going to have to be on the screws this week. And it's fascinating because I don't have a great answer for you because we've seen them do it consistently throughout the year, not necessarily against an offense this good. Yeah. And I really think that's going to be the story of the game because the Cowboys aren't winning a shootout. They're not going to win a 51 to 48 game. They're just not, I don't think. But they could win a 27 to 24 game, maybe.
Honestly, both these defenses are too good for that. And that's not, Cowboys defenses play well, but New Orleans has a good defense too. I think both of them are too good for this to be just we're just going to line up that Kansas City and Los Angeles game a couple weeks ago. It's not going to be that. It can't be that. These defenses, I think, are too good for that.
That's what's curious to me is I always think about the Houston game because it's the most glaring example of the defense buckling down. Because if they give up touchdowns on even like 2 of those drives, all of a sudden the Texans have 30 points instead of 19. That's going to be the test. Because if the Saints get down there and they're scoring touchdowns every time, if they go 3 for 3 in the red zone, they're probably going to score 34 to 38 points and win somewhat comfortably. If you can turn a few of those into field goals, now
turn them over.
Push this or turn whatever. Now you're talking about them scoring in the mid to high 20s, and that's much more manageable.
Yep.
Well,
I think that's the story.
That leads to this question, which relates to this topic, and I pulled this from Twitter. We've seen, obviously, the Saints, they've been able to score over 30 points easily. Now, the Cowboys, they've struggled scoring anything past 20 points. So let's say the Cowboys defense, is able to hold them lower than 30 points. Do you think the Cowboys offense with that is able to score enough in order to win a game?
I think they're able to score enough. Yes, I do. I've said this a lot. I do think that games kind of take a life of their own, and there can be kind of these shootout type of games. It doesn't have to be up in the 40s or 50s, but I think if you get a lot of possessions going, yes, I think the Cowboys can do that. It's the only way that they're really going to win, in my opinion, is if to limit the Saints under 30 points. Which, it doesn't happen often, but I think that they're going to have to play their style of football, and their style of football is going to be running it, getting first downs. You're going to get a lot of 3rd and shorts. They're going to have to go for it a lot. I think that you'll see more of an aggressive play caller, whoever that is. I think that you'll see. I definitely think you'll see the Cowboys have it. They can't punt. They can't kick long field goals. They don't trust their kicker to kick long field goals. So I think this is going to be one of those games where you're going to see a little bit more risk-taking by the Cowboys.
Just to your point, you're absolutely right. They have struggled to score, but during this 3-game winning streak,
there we go.
They're averaging.
How much you buy that?
They're averaging 27 points a game.
Yeah.
I have no idea how much I buy it.
They had 31 last week, and they looked like the offense from the years past when this offense could put up. They were getting into the 30s regularly back then because they had a receiving threat that could take it the distance, and they had the running game going. If it's that team, maybe they can get into a game where I still don't think they can get into that 40, 50 point range and expect to win against this team. But I do think that maybe they can get into that 31, 34 range and have an opportunity to win.
But they, on the flip side of what you just said about the Saints in the red zone, the Cowboys get down there, they cannot do anything where they're kicking a field goal. Like 1st and goal in the 4, they end up kicking a field goal. Like that can't happen. I think you almost have to be in 4-down territory when you get down to that point in the game. Scott Linehan was asked yesterday, why not just run the ball 3 times in a row with Zeke? And he said, because they think that's what we're going to do, pretty much. Which is what we've always said, that we think that. He goes, that's what the run fronts are not favorable. You're going to have to kind of grind through it, and we see some one-on-one matchups on the outside, which is what they saw with Beasley, who dropped the ball, and what they saw with Noah Brown, who didn't get a good pass. And he might have, I don't know if he would have caught it or not, probably.
Is that frustrating?
What he said?
Is that frustrating for you, Derek?
It's a little frustrating.
It is. Because it's like,
just because they know you're going to do it doesn't mean it's still not a good option. And what I would say is that's, again, where you want to talk about where I think they can, at some point maybe they can use a gadget player to be able to help them. That's where it can help you a little bit, is that now you give them a little bit something more to think about. I do like the idea of spreading the team out because they can't give you that unfavorable matchup. If you spread them out, it's very hard for them to keep so many guys in there to where you cannot run the ball, especially if you can run the ball with either Dak or Zeke.
Okay, let me ask you that, though. You spread them out and thinking, all right, I've spread you out, but they didn't really go out there.
Okay, then that means I got a one-on-one matchup that I feel like I can win. That's not what they do.
But that's what they did against the Falcons, and Cole Beasley dropped it.
Yeah, and again, I'll take that. I'll still do that play. If you give me that matchup, I'll do that play, and I guarantee he'll catch it 9 out of 10 times. His hands are good enough.
Or Noah Brown wide open. I'm just saying, I don't think...
A little less confident in him, but
I know.
But in that situation, if I'm going to get Cole matched up on the outside, one-on-one, and he has the ability to use his athleticism to get open and catch the ball, I can trust that. That's something I can trust. That's better than me getting into a situation where I've got 13 personnel on the field and I'm trying to run. Yeah, I get that. You've basically allowed them to make it to where running is very difficult.
Derek.
So much passion.
Agitated. I agree with you. I hear what you're saying.
It's frustrating a little bit to me.
The Saints do that type of stuff really well, and it's frustrating to watch. But
what do you mean? Do what kind of stuff?
Spread it out and misdirection and all that.
They put a quarterback in to play receiver.
They do. They have a lot of gadget stuff going on over there.
They do.
He's got a bigger role than I really...
You didn't mention him. I'm kind of surprised you didn't mention him.
Taysom Hill. He's got a much bigger role than I gave him credit for. He's played 130 snaps this year. He's carried the ball 32 times. He's averaging 5 yards per carry when he does it.
Is he going to be their next quarterback?
I doubt it.
Who's going to be their next coach? I'm just saying,
uncomfortable silence.
I don't want to talk about that today.
No, I'm talking about Sean Payton. I'm talking about he's not going to be there forever, and he's probably going to be there as long as Drew Brees is going to be there. Don't you think? I don't know.
I'll talk about it. We'll talk about that later.
Taysom Hill.
It's an off-season conversation.
Will probably touch the ball
more than Cooper Rush
3 to 5 times this game. Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah.
All right, I have one last question for you guys. The Cowboys have won 3 games in a row. If they were to lose this game, how much can a loss against a team like this disrupt the momentum that they've gained thus far?
It's the classic.
I agree with David.
It's the classic thing where you. Thank you. It's a classic thing. You can't let the same team beat you twice. But this game doesn't matter as much as the Eagles game. I'm sorry. I know that they all matter, but you just got. I mean, Nick has been saying that for a month. You beat the Eagles, and that's. I think this is going to be a great game, but if the Saints win comfortably, you just got to flush it and focus on the division.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, this game definitely has a feel for some moral victory to it. If you get beat 28-24 or something like that, as long as the head coach or anybody didn't mismanage the game, but if you do something where it's
you can come out feeling good,
you can. You're like, all right. I mean, the thing about it is that you had to win. They've helped themselves. They've got a little bit of cushion. I mean, even though it's 6-5, you don't feel like there's cushion, but you still feel like, okay, you did enough where if you do lose a game here, you got to beat Philly, you got to beat the Bucs,
and keep it. One of these two teams that's trailing the Cowboys in the standings is going to lose on Monday night. They have to because they play each other. So that's I don't. This game is not the end goal. I mean, it would be amazing if they won, and I think they can win. I'm not trying to suggest that I just don't think they should even play it. Yeah. But the Eagles game.
But this is not. I guess the point of it is, I don't think everybody should go into this game. And I'm talking to fans right now. I think it's a mistake to go into this game thinking if the Cowboys lose, everything is lost. It is not.
Nothing is lost.
This game really it will help you to win. But if you lose it, everything's still right in front of you. You still just got to go beat Philadelphia.
It would be so enormous if they did win, though.
It would, no doubt. Yeah,
it gives them that much more room for error. I really think, I could be wrong, I think 9 wins is going to be enough to get into the playoffs in this division.
Yeah, and if you can double up, if you can get this win and then also beat Philadelphia, you might actually be wrapping up before you get to week 17. You may be wrapping up this division if you can get those. If you stay on this roll,
indicator that that's not going to happen because that never happens for the Cowboys.
Although there have been times in the last 3-4 years when the Cowboys get on these kinds of rolls.
That was when they were 10-1.
Right, I'm just saying. But I'm just saying, what we're seeing right now suggests that Amari Cooper and what they did on the offensive line have made them a different team than what we saw at the beginning of the year. Now the question is, are they good enough to where you can compare them to those teams, or is it just better than what they were doing earlier this year, which is, still middle of the road?
I said this. I know we're running out of time. This team is interesting though, because usually when the Cowboys are good, we know by Halloween.
Right.
Like I don't know if this team's good.
We're about to find out.
Yeah, we are. Like these next 2 games,
Yes,
I think will tell you a
To
lot.
be determined, to be continued. All right, tomorrow we're going to dive into the Saints defense and see how that matches up against the Cowboys offense. For Derek Eagleton, Nick Inman, David Hellman, Amber Garcia, this has been Cowboys Break on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?